Welcome back. So from the title, you can see that today we are going to share our testimonies and then how we met. I want to give you a little heads up. Our dogs are in the room with us. We have 3 dogs and they are chewing on munchie bones right now. So if you hear gnawing going on, it's just Chris.
Chewing my cud.
What? Anyways, so this is my husband, Chris, and
hello.
This is gonna be interesting. So for a little bit of a background, I first want to share that we have been married for oh shoot,
it'll be 9 years.
9 years in November. I was just gonna say that. 9 years in November, which is mind-blowing. We are a blended family. We each have 3 kids. I had 3 boys, he had 2 boys and a girl, and we will actually share how all that came about after a little bit. But first of all, I wanted to for us to kind of just share our backgrounds, the condensed version. We want to, for those of you that know me, you know I very much share everything. I'm very transparent. I will tell you everything about my history. And so I want us to be as real as possible, but yet I don't want this video to be an hour long. So I'm gonna have us each give our condensed version of our testimony, kind of things that we've gone through in our life. Obviously there's been good things too, but we just kind of want to paint a picture of what our lives used to look like versus now, and how we came about to where we are currently. And so Chris is so excited. He was so pumped about this. He's like, I can't wait to share my testimony. Actually, he wasn't at all. But for those of you that know Chris pretty well, you do know Chris's history. But some of this stuff is definitely going to be new to a lot of people. And so I think they would love to hear about the terrible person that you are.
Yeah,
I'm kidding.
I used to be a good person and now I see I went backwards.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Okay, so I'm actually going to have Chris go first and just kind of give, he's nervous. And kind of give a little mini testimony up until however you see fit. But don't share about how we met yet, because we'll share that together, or try to.
So, as Monica said, I had a not such a pleasant past. When I was younger, a teenager, I got into a lot of trouble. I put my poor mother through a lot of hell, to be honest with you. From the time I was about 14 years old, I was in trouble with the law, drugs, drinking, you name it. That continued for in my entire, adolescence. In and out of treatments. I got a DUI when I was 16, totaled vehicles, crashed a couple different motorcycles, stolen cars. My mother had to pick me up from the emergency room in the middle of the night a couple times. Juvenile hall, jail, you name it. I mean, that was my past. That's who I was. Until I was about 19 years old. We got raided by the DEA, the police, ATF, broke down our door on a Sunday morning, and it kind of was the start of making me wake up a little bit to where my life was going. So that was kind of a wake-up call, and soon after that, my oldest son was born when I turned 20 years old. He was born a week after I turned 20. And that's when I kind of started to turn my life around and decided I needed to do, it wasn't about me anymore. It wasn't just me. I had a little person that was relying on me, and I had to take care of and help grow and teach how to be a little person, a man of his own. So that's when I kind of started to straighten up and got a full-time job and be a member of society, a contributing member of society. Even through that, I still struggled with drinking and drugs for years, even after he was born. It caused problems in my first marriage. And it wasn't until I was about 25 years old when I stood to lose everything. I stood to lose my family, my house, my job. I had a career, and I couldn't stop using drugs. And that's when it all kind of came to a head. And that's when I got sober. And I've been sober since I was 25. I've been drug-free. But through all that, I mean, my marriage ended up failing. My first marriage, I had 3 kids. Today I have a 21-year-old, an 18-year-old, and 16-year-old children.
Guy.
Yeah.
I said, oh, guy. Just,
I feel it.
No, you feel young.
I feel
and great.
young. Except for when I get up in the morning.
That's funny. Continue, sorry.
Anyway, so I've been blessed with my children and where I'm at in life now, but the early parts of my life, I struggled. It wasn't all bad. I mean, it wasn't all good, but it wasn't all bad. Like I said, I learned a lot through it. And it taught me a lot. It taught me what I wanted for my kids, and I was very open and honest with my kids about my background. And we've been blessed. I mean, our kids, my oldest son gets married this summer, which I'm really looking forward to. I mean, he met a very nice, beautiful young lady that they want to share the rest of their lives together. I'm proud of him. My second son graduates here in a couple weeks, which I'm proud of him. And we haven't had any problems from them. I mean, they don't do drugs. They never got into trouble when they were younger. So all of our kids, we've been very blessed with that. But I think part of it is because we were honest with them about, the struggles we went through with that stuff and what I've seen. I've got friends that aren't around anymore because of all the stuff that we did. I'm lucky to be around because I had many scary times where I should have been dead, and I know it was because God had a greater purpose for me and for my life. But I say that now, but back then I was just living wild and free and didn't care. But anyway, so after I was 25 is when I got sober. Unfortunately, my first marriage did end, and which caused me to spiral back into drinking. After I got divorced, I started to drink quite a bit again. I didn't see my kids very much because they were in Colorado. I was living in North Dakota still. So I'd try and get down there about once a month for a long weekend, but it was a struggle. It was hard on me. So I started to drink and was in an accident one morning on my way to work, and that really kind of opened my eyes again to see what I was doing. I mean, I rear-ended a lady without a baby in the back seat, and it scared me. What would have happened had something happened to that baby or that woman? I mean, it was scary, and it kind of opened my eyes. And from that point on, I kind of looked at things a little different. And one day I was just that is our dog Gage. Sounding like he's gonna barf all over the...
Gage, are you okay? Yeah. Oh, he's okay. Now we summoned all the dogs. Okay, sorry. Continue.
Anyway, that was attractive, Gage. So anyway, one day I was walking through the dollar store picking up some random stuff for the house, cleaning supplies and whatnot, and something compelled me to buy a Bible. I grew up Catholic, so there's nothing wrong with being Catholic, but I didn't learn a lot as a Catholic. I learned a lot of stuff, but I didn't learn about relationship with Jesus. So anyway, I was in the dollar store, and something compelled me to buy this Bible. I didn't say I read it a lot, but it was there, and I would read it, and it just started making me think a little different about things and the bigger picture. When I was younger, I considered myself an agnostic because I didn't know. I mean, like I said, I grew up in church. We went to religion classes every Wednesday night. Church on holidays. And that was it. That was my religion. That was my faith, if you want to call it that. But then it was shortly after that time that I met Monica, and I'll let her tell her testimony first, and then we'll kind of go into how we met and then our life since then.
Okay. I wasn't as terrible as Chris.
So she said.
I'm just being funny. Okay. Well, for me, I was trying to figure out how I wanted to start this out, and I think I'm going to go this way. I grew up in the church. I got saved when I was 9 years old, and that was just a big part of my life. When I was about 16 is when, well, it probably didn't start then, but that's kind of where I started with the whole, like, you can't tell me what to do. Like, I can't wait till I'm 18. I was one of those kids. And I started smoking when I was 16 years old. And it just kind of started going from there. Then I started drinking. I did not do drugs when I was in high school, but it was right after is when I started using. And for, I would say, about a good 2 years, I can honestly say my life is kind of a blur, because I literally got high constantly. I could not hold a job. I flunked out of college. I had no desire, no like focus or any, what am I trying to say? I didn't have a picture of what I wanted my life to look like in the future. I didn't know what I wanted to be, where I was going. I just kind of had this mindset of like, I'm just gonna live my life to the fullest right now. I guess you could call me, I was kind of like a hippie, to be honest. I didn't look like a hippie, but I definitely had like the mentality of like,
I look like a hippie.
he looked like the hippie, but I was just like the like happy-go-lucky, just kind of like, I'm just gonna make it by every day. Honestly, I don't know how I made it through those couple of years, because I was living with other people. I was, even to support my drug habit, I can honestly say I don't know if it's just because I had a lot of friends, and so yeah, that was just kind of my couple years. I do want to share one bad little thing I had happen to me. One time I was up in Devil's Lake, and at this point, I wasn't drinking at this point. During this time frame, I only got high. That was just like my thing, that, you know, there was no hangovers attached to that. So went up to Devil's Lake, and that evening we went to a party, and you know, it stinks, because I just got done telling you, like, I had a couple of years that were a blur, but it really stinks those times in your life where like, this was like one of the worst things that ever happened to me, but yet I remember every single detail, and I wish that was one of those moments where I could get rid of. But I remember we went to a party that night, and I have the memory of like going outside in the back with a bunch of other people, and we were just getting high together, and I come back into the house, and I remember I was drinking a pop, and shortly after we were getting high, I turned to my friend and I said, something's not right. Something's just, I'm feeling way different. And at this point, I knew what it felt like to get high. Something was different. This was not normal. It was more of a, like, I am starting to see things, I'm starting to hear things, like hallucinate type of thing. And I start freaking. Long story short, I was on an 8-hour trip, and those drugs weren't my thing. I did not want, like Chris, those, like, he did drugs like that. That wasn't my kind of thing. I didn't want to hallucinate. I didn't want that kind of stuff. Mine was more the coke, crank, weed, that kind of stuff. And so when this started happening to me, I was in freak out mode. And I remember, like I said, this story is pretty detailed, but I'm just gonna get to the gist of it. and why I felt like I should share this story in this video is this lifestyle is no joke. During my 8-hour trip from hell, I was slipped something in my drink, and that's how it happened. And this person had full intention of raping me. I thank the Lord that it never happened. Thankfully, like, I knew something was wrong right away, and I told my friend and we got out of there. But still, I was literally being tormented for 8 hours straight. And then shortly after that, honestly, I can't remember how many months, but I did end up getting pregnant with my first son. And I was 19, I believe. And so that's when I started getting my act together, was around that time. So in that time frame, I fell away from the Lord. I just kind of wanted to do my own thing, but it took a very scary event in my life, and also becoming pregnant for me to realize, jeepers, now like I have somebody else I have to think about besides myself. And I ended up actually getting married to my first husband, and I had 3 boys within 4 years. So in that time frame, I completely quit doing drugs. I didn't drink really or anything like that. I was pregnant constantly, and I am thankful that I was in the right mindset where I didn't continue to do those things while I was pregnant. But then my marriage did not last, obviously, and then I moved to a town where my parents lived. At this time, let's see, I was probably only 20, gosh, I can't remember how old I was when I had my third. But in 2005 is when I had my third boy, and my divorce was final the day after he was born. So from that moment on, I was raising 2 toddlers and an infant on my own, and that lasted for 5 years. During that 5-year period is when I started drinking again. I wasn't a mom who drank during the week or anything like that, but when my boys would go to their dads for the weekends, I drank very heavily. And that also, I got into a relationship that was very unhealthy for me. It was not physically abusive, but it was very much emotionally abusive. And I started becoming this person that, like, I didn't even know anymore. I'm not gonna go down that road too long, but I was with that person on and off for about 2 years, and that was one of those where it's like, you don't realize at the time, like, why am I putting myself through this when I deserve so much better? I didn't realize it at the time, but I remember there was a significant event that happened during that time frame. And I remember, even though I was falling away from the Lord, I still went to church on a regular basis. I just went to a non-denominational church, and even I was devoted to going to church. Even though, like, I was out drinking Saturday before, a lot of times I would go to church hungover. But I know that sounds crazy, but for some reason I was still devoted to always going to church, because that was just kind of my lifestyle and how I grew up. But anyways, what I was getting at was, during that relationship I was in, though, it was one of those that wasn't going anywhere. It was super unhealthy. I remember just crying out to the Lord one night in my room, and I wrote out of a list of, like, everything I wanted in somebody, and, like, certain things like, Lord, if you're actually real, like, this is what I desire. And I put it in my Bible that I never read. And I put that in my Bible, and it wasn't, once again, dates are fuzzy for me, but then it was, I swear, not that long, and that's when Chris came into the picture. So, okay, I don't know how long we've been filming here, so I don't want this to be too much longer. So now we're gonna get to the point where, so you have me, broken, hurting, bad relationship, getting drunk on the weekends, backslidden, and then you have Chris, bad accident, drinking a lot, didn't actually ask the Lord into his heart type of thing. And so we're both broken in 2 different towns, and we connect on the internet. Now this is the part where we got to figure out who wants to talk and stuff. Do you want me to start, or do you want to?
Either way.
Go ahead.
So I guess it was obviously an internet dating site, and I guess from my perspective, I decided at a point where I wanted to start dating again, and I had a lot of first dates, and the dating wasn't going well. And then I saw this profile. Didn't have a picture, just whatever the name, Lily 23 or something.
I love lilies.
And
Continue.
And something about it just intrigued me, and I didn't know what. Obviously, she didn't even live in my town. I read the profile, and it was just something about it drew me to it, and we just started communicating.
I honestly don't know why I started talking to him, and this is one of those things where we're at now, we obviously know it was the Holy Spirit orchestrating this whole relationship. Because for me, things are very blurry for me, but I just remember we connected easily, like conversation was easy. You didn't irritate me or make me mad like you do now. I'm just kidding.
I try hard.
Anyways, and so a few weeks later we met up, and I actually felt totally at peace about it. Like, I wasn't afraid to invite him over. Like, I remember that weekend you went, I'm not trying to keep towns out of the picture, okay? He went to go visit his kids, and so on his way back home, he was driving through my town, and so I just asked him to come over and visit. And what did you think when you opened the door?
It was easy. I mean,
No, what was the thing that you first thought?
She's really short.
She's really short. Sorry, I don't know why I thought that was funny.
That's fun. I didn't know you remember that. That was the first thing I thought. She opened the door and she's.
Okay.
If you know Monica, she's a tiny, itty bitty, not much of a thing person.
Anyways, but I gotta tell you something else that's funny, because I want to wrap this up and give you obviously we're together. We've been married for almost 9 years now. But when we first met, obviously we were broken, we were still hurting, we both drank. We still drank together on the weekends and stuff when we were together. But I remember when I first met him and we had a conversation, I used to swear a lot myself, but this guy...
She was very impressed with my vocabulary.
Oh my gosh, it was awful. I was like... every other word, I was just like... But for some reason, Holy Spirit, I was able to look past that. Long story short, you ended up coming to my church. You didn't turn your ringer off. I'll tell you, he ended up coming to my church with me, and he asked the Lord into his heart. He ended up getting baptized, and it all within a thing. We were engaged within 3 months, married the next year, and we found a church here in town, and everything just started changing. We started having... I thought you turned your ringer off. Anyways, everything just kind of started changing. We stopped drinking. It just kind of happened, and we were happy, and we got connected within our church. My camera died and I had to restart here, so I can't remember if I told you, but I am now a worship leader, and Chris works for an awesome company. Everything is just better. Life is just better, right?
Life is good.
Life is good. And although, it's not perfect, because obviously a lot of you on my channel here, I've been healing from triple PD, so that's not super awesome. But regardless, my life in general, I'm very thankful because I'm a completely different person than I used to be.
Yeah, everything. I mean, you're always going to have struggles. I mean, my job is stressful. I mean, Monica with her illness. I mean, we have kids. Obviously, our kids aren't perfect. You know, day-to-day life stuff happens. It happens to everybody. But it's how you learn to deal with it. And it just having the peace of knowing Jesus as your Lord and Savior just gives you a different perspective on things and how to handle things by digging into your Bible and learning what a successful life is and how to be a good person, you know, and how to deal, you know, take care of other people and your own family. And that's what makes, I think, I am so much more at peace now than I ever have been.
Sorry,
regardless
just laughing
of
at
all
his
the
phone.
stuff I did. That never stops. If you know me and you know my job, it's a non-stop thing.
Gotta quit speaking that. Anyways, so yeah, that is our story in a nutshell. And I just really felt like I said from the beginning, I wanted this channel to be not just about kind of what I've been walking through, but you know, I want you guys to get to know me. I want to be transparent. I want you guys to find hope in situations and that life doesn't always have to be the same. And so I had to nudge my husband to get on here with me because I didn't want to just share my own journey, because I think it's kind of cool how they kind of come together. And, you know, maybe some other time too, we can share some other crazy stories too. But I felt like that you got a pretty good picture of kind of where we came from. And also, I didn't say it earlier, but my childhood wasn't all bad either. It's just we wanted to kind of give you like the choices that we personally made as like teens or whatever, young adults. And, you know, those are choices we made. You know, it's not reflective on our parents. These were choices that we made.
My parents tried.
Right.
I love my parents. I have great parents.
Yes.
So does Monica.
Yeah, and it's just these were choices that we made in our life, and we're just so thankful for redemption and that, you know, we can be forgiven and we can start new even today. So hope you are encouraged by that. Hope you know us and myself a little bit better. Got to know Chris a little bit. He's kind of a pain in the butt, but
I am what I am.
Anyways, so yeah, hope you guys are having a great day, and we will talk with you later. Bye.
Bye.